one of the other things I wanted to mention about this system is that it is definitely what is called a fiction first system. So, I'm gonna start describing stuff, and I'm gonna tell you when something happens. I'll basically I'll be like, oh, so and so steps out and stabs you in the chest,
Ow!
and now that then you get the opportunity to respond and say, well, actually, I'm going to try and resist that by doing this thing here, and what kind of how you want your character to react is going to determine what skills that we're going to roll and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, so like if you're trying to infiltrate some sort of location, you could be like, well, I'm going to try and sneak in on the roofs and be like, all right, well, that's a prowl. Or it's like, I'm going to talk my way past the guards. Well, that's a sway, and so there's it kind of, depending on how you want to approach it, is going to determine where we go.
Okay. I can run with this.
And it is a conversation, so I will be relying on you guys to, any details and stuff as we go along that you have to interject into it, go for it.
I may still be part of this for Shadowrun.
Definitely. So, all right. So I think where we start is you guys have just kind of started setting up shop. So you two knew each other in the military, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what kind of precipitated your leaving the military and developing a gang?
Mostly because I didn't want to die.
So you decided to become a criminal. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't do it the regular way. I mean,
right.
Too hard.
As a criminal, I choose when where I do what I do. In the military, I got ordered, hey, you take that hill.
That's fair.
So, it mostly just taking control of my own life. And, I don't know, Gerrit, did I just drag you along with me for the fun of it?
Yeah, that's this character. I think he's just going to be dragged along for the fun of everything. That's just
yeah. I think that's
he
interesting.
loves money, he loves women, he loves booze.
There you go.
Yeah, I talked it up so much. It's just like, we can make so much money doing it this way. We can't make any money.
Light up, cha-ching, dollar signs come into my face. Yeah.
So I've basically sold you on the idea of this tropical island that you could retire on with the pretty señoritas.
Blue skies? You said there would be blue skies at the end.
There will be at the end.
But not until the
I
end.
think that could give us some good. Right, but I think that could give us some good.
That's it. That's our crew name with the blue skies.
Tension. If you're just along for the ride, and you just don't you're like, are you sure there's gonna be blue skies at the end?
Yeah.
And talking you back into continuing to go with it kind of fits my character as it is. So
I like it. All right, so I think Esme, like, you guys are setting up, and Esme sends someone over to your shop and asks you to come around in the evening.
Which I'm gonna embellish a little bit here. As we've been setting up the shop, we've been working on it every day,
when I got home.
and then going to beer court every night for some beers. So we're kind of getting to regular status.
Court is in session.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're at.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
I like that. That she kind of has, like, I think she knows that you guys are trying to develop this side of business.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, maybe she has kind of pointed you in the direction of some jobs in the past. And so,
She's the person with her ear to the ground. So
yes, yeah. I mean, she hears everything.
she's Mrs. Johnson.
There you go.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yep.
So
I've been in Shadowrun way too much.
There's no computers here to hack into. So
No, I do approve of the name of our gang, though.
yeah, Garrett,
the Blue Skies gang.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea, Garrett. All right, so Canter and Hicks walk into Beer Court, which is fully in session by this point.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm dressed in kind of workman's garb, but with a nice vest over top, and I've got a small little dagger at my hip because you never go anywhere unarmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in, just take a look around.
Hicks, what does Hicks look like?
Oh, he's a tall, thin, rapscallion type guy. With we got a long, like a wool trench coat type thing, like a duster or whatever. Yeah, we'll have wait, are there like flintlocks, right? That's,
so there are firearms and yeah, so it's definitely it's kind of like Victorian era, but weird, post-apocalyptic fantasy.
Victorian era.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he has at least a small flintlock type, whatever, pistol tucked behind his pants in the back. That's about it.
Sure. So as you two walk in, Esme bustles over to you, and she's like, "Oh, it's good to see you. Good evening. I was getting a little worried that you weren't going to show up for court tonight."
Oh, like we'd ever miss court.
Well, I couldn't imagine that you would, but you know, we're already well in session here. I've got your normal booth set aside, of course, but before you sit down, I would like you to take notice of that gentleman over in the corner there. And she kind of points to a corner of the bar where there's a man sitting by himself who his clothes are well made. They're not ostentatious, but they definitely stick out for this location. And he has a what looks like a small black book set out in front of him, and it looks like he's scribbling notes in it. And she kind of gestures in his direction and says, that gentleman was asking around earlier for any enterprising sorts who might be able to help him with some merchandise.
Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna slip her just 5 pence, kind of, just tip her basically.
Yeah. She tucks it into her pocket and gives you a wink and says, "I always take care of my regulars."
Speaking of, what's on the menu? What's good tonight? What's I need something to drink, please.
So I'm curious about your beard, because you know when we were talking about the original concept of having like this wispy, like tentacly beard, so like does it move like all the time, or does it kind of move when you want it to? Like what does that look like?
I was thinking it moves on its own.
Okay.
Kind of like it moves. Sometimes it'll stay still, and sometimes the more animated or maybe emotional my character gets, it'll move.
So do you try to like, I mean, do you ever like tie it so that it's not loose? Or like, I mean, how much do you try to like obscure the fact? Because I mean, obviously it's kind of freaky.
I keep it real short.
Okay.
So it's really just like little wisps that kind of move, so that when it grows out, it's crazy. But right now, it's short.
Okay. So you kind of trying to blend in a little.
Yeah, we'll keep it short a little bit. Okay. Still sticking to the military days, probably where we weren't allowed to grow beards.
Yeah.
So keep it a little short.
So
for now.
Yeah. So she says, "Wow, we've got several nice ales that you might like, and a stout that will make those budding beard hairs dance." She kind of gives you a wink.
Oh, let's go with that one. I think they could use a little bit more movement tonight.
So she bustles over and grabs a couple pints and brings them back to you and hands them off. That's not bad.
And I'm gonna take a simple ale.
Mm-hmm.
If this is gonna be a business conversation, I don't want to be too drunk.
That's fair.
You can never be too drunk. It's not a thing.
No, not a thing.
So,
So what do you do?
I'm gonna take my ale in hand, and walk up to the gentleman who's scribbling notes, and ask him, "Is this your first time at court?"
He, as you walk up, he kind of notices your approach, and he closes the notebook and sort of tucks it into the inner pocket of his coat. And when you say that, he looks you up and down and says, "Yes, why, yes it is. Would you care to join me?"
But I was just gonna ask, and I'm gonna just grab a chair and sit down, and
you can see that
I'm gonna try and make small talk for a little bit. You don't jump right into the business.
Yep. Yeah, you can definitely tell from the way that he's talking, he's reserved and kind of like he's also kind of like feeling you out. You can see that he's got a half drunk pint in front of him that he sips on occasionally, but doesn't seem like he's in any hurry to get through it.
I'm gonna let slip, military service. Maybe tell a couple stories. Just kind of, I'm gonna show with what I'm saying that we have some experience under our belts, and just after probably 15, half an hour of just chatting, I'm gonna say, "So, our friend says you are looking for some help."
He looks.
And
he kind of looks down at the beer and then looks back at you and says, I am looking for help. And from the sounds of it, you and your partner are capable sorts. Discreet, I hope.
Yes. We pride ourselves in not letting anyone know exactly what we do.
He says, excellent. I have a package that is arriving at the docks tonight, or tomorrow night, that I need transported discreetly to an estate house in Brightstone, and I'm looking for someone to transport it who is capable of passing through streets that common criminals, you understand, would be plucked out of by the Bluecoats in an instant.
Well, sir, I think we may be your crew. Despite my friend's appearance, we can pass quite well. If military service has taught me one thing, it's always look the way, or dress for the job you want.
He kind of chuckles, and now that you're kind of closer, you can see that, again, his clothes are very, very well made. They're not ostentatious, they're not bold, but you also can tell that there's not really any wear to them. And
they're not like fancy ball gown clothes, but they're well-made clothes.
Yes. And he says, well, I hope that you are as capable as you claim, because this package, if it were to be discovered by the Bluecoats, it would be an unfortunate occurrence.
Well, at I would say at Collectible Specialties, that's our specialty. At Collectible Specialties, avoiding notice is our specialty. I believe we can help you with what you need.
I believe so as well. And I look forward to receiving the package. And he kind of holds out a hand to shake.
I'm just going to go ahead and shake his hand, and just all we need is the pickup and the drop-off.
Yep, he gives you the details. So at this point, we can do the planning and engagement phase. So there are 6 different types of plans. There's assault, do violence to a target, deception, lure, trick, or manipulate, stealth, trespass unseen, where you're not wanted, Occult, confront or exploit a supernatural power. Social, negotiate, bargain, or persuade. Or transport, move something from place to place. Kind of set it up so that it's pretty obvious. I think it's pretty obvious what one we're dealing with here.
Yeah, we're gonna be sneaking.
Supernatural. I'll summon them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Bear time.
So you're going with the transport. So what I need from you is the pickup location. So like where do you think that this is being picked up from? Like where do you think you're either meeting his agents, or where are you getting it from, and what route are you taking to get to Brightstone?
We're gonna be picking the package up directly from a small cutter on the docks, and I'm thinking we'll go around through Crow's Foot to Charter Hall to Brightstone. Well, what's Charter Hall again? What quality?
Charter Hall is where like the civic government locations are.
Yeah, we're gonna go docks to Crow's Foot to Charter Hall to Brightstone instead of just straight from the docks to Brightstone.
Okay, cool. All right.
I mean, Gerrit, do you have any other ideas?
No, because we do not have a boat.
Nope.
Or
We have here.
So we have a carriage.
We do have a carriage.
And
it is camouflaged.
it is camouflaged, and I think they're going to have less scrutiny from Brightstone to the Rich District to the Civil District than the Rich District to the docks.
Yeah.
And I want to procure a uniform.
Okay.
A couple uniforms for us, so we're wearing uniforms while we're driving the carriage.
All right. How do you want to do that?
I'd say I'm guessing there's businesses that are doing the. I'm guessing there are transport businesses in this city.
Yeah.
I am thinking we can.
So I guess kind of what I'm thinking, what I'm looking for is like, do you want to like sneak in and steal uniforms from a place, or like go into a place and try to convince someone to give them to you, or intimidate someone to surrender their uniform over to you? How do you want to approach acquiring the uniforms?
I'm thinking that we will. I got two ideas here. Number one is we just find somebody and basically say, hey, give us your uniform. Or B, we find a place that takes the old uniforms and slide them some money to give us some old uniforms that are in decent shape.
All right. I mean, either of those.
Beating somebody up, or money, but no pain.
Yeah.
Which...
And one's going to cost us money, but probably doesn't have any potential to come and bite us in the butt.
Let's see. So won't have money for beer, but won't be in jail, so I can drink the beer.
Yes.
So yeah,
but this job is going to pay us, and we gotta start our reputation. This job can lead us to other jobs.
And I have blue skies from.
So we'll have plenty of money to pay for the beer after we pay a little bit of money for this job.
So I guess what I'll say is, if you want to go the route of playing it safe, basically, and procuring something, you do have 2 coins. So you could spend one of your coin, and basically that'll cover bribes, paying off whoever the dry cleaner is, and you can acquire the uniform that way. And then you don't have to roll for it. So like you just spend the coin and you do it. The other way, you keep your coin, but you roll for it and have the possibility of something going wrong.
We still have 1 coin afterwards, right? So we can go ahead and spend it now.
I have an idea here.
Oh, okay.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say you said consort was more like fast talking.
So yeah, if you look at looking in here, it says Consort with connections from your heritage, background, friends, or rivals to gain access to resources, information, people, or places. So you could.
Okay, I'm thinking we can. Let me double check that description because I'm thinking maybe I can. Maybe I know a guy that works at the cleaner that might be willing just to give us a couple.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we'll try that and take a little risk instead of just spending coin because kind of want the coin.
Who were who is your friend and your rival?
My friend was Grace, an extortionist, and my rival was Strass, a clever blade.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm thinking Grace might have some connections for us.
Yeah. So if you wanna roll consort for me, and it doesn't have to be Grace. I mean, if you're rolling consort, I mean, depending on how well you roll, will depend on whether or not you know somebody who can get you what you want.
I'm guessing it's a controlled position.
I'm gonna say that it is controlled because nobody's really looking out for you. So that's the interesting thing about this is there's controlled position, there's risky position, and there's desperate. And those basically represent kind of it's the position that you're in when you're taking an action. So the kind of the standard when you're on a score is risky, just because controlled is like you've got all the time in the world, there's no trouble coming, that kind of stuff. So and I think in this instance it is going to be controlled, and standard is the effect.
All right.
And so there's limited, there's standard, and there's great effect. So standard is kind of the baseline for that as well.
So controlled standard.
Yep.
Extra 0, I'm guessing.
So extras, you could, if you wanted to, you could push yourself, which would be you take 2 stress, and that gives you an extra die.
I don't feel the need to stress myself right now.
You could take an extra die if Hicks wanted to take 1 stress to help you. Or I could offer you a devil's bargain. Devil's bargain is basically I tell you something that will come to pass that's not necessarily good for you, but it gives you an extra die. I don't know that a devil's bargain really is all that necessary in this case.
I think I'm just gonna roll it as is. So,
okay, so you got 2 dice.
Sweet. 6.
Hey, look at that. All right. So let's see. So you go to the cleaner. So I think this cleaner probably is someone that you have dealt with during your military days. Like you've taken.
Oops. Didn't mean to do that.
How dare you? So.
I'm gonna say he was the quartermaster in the military, and he left the military and is now doing laundry. So
cool. So yeah, so he, you visit him and kind of tell him what you're looking for, and he hooks you up. I mean, he gets you a couple of uniforms, and they're in really good condition, and you don't have any problem acquiring those.
Excellent, and they're sized right.
yeah, and like he, like as you come in, like he kind of sees you, and you ask him for it, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I got exactly what you're looking for." And he goes back, kind of rifles around a little bit in the back, and then comes out, hands you a couple of uniforms. That just
you always had the connections.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So you've got that. So that's actually a really cool thing. So the next part of preparing for a score, you need to pick what your item loadout is. And so it's either light, normal, or heavy. And that determines how many items you're carrying with you. So light is 3, normal is 5, and heavy is 6 for a cutter. And the same for a whisper. And then all of those things under item could be under items, could be something that you check off and say, okay, I have that when it comes up, if it comes up. And then anything that's in italics does not cost a point.
Oh.
So like you just have those. So like the Whisper's Fine Spirit Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to check that off, it doesn't cost you a slot.
What is that? A fine spirit mask?
It's
like a mask I put on.
Yeah, it could be whatever you want it to be, but it's like something that you put on that helps you attune with the ghost realm, with the spirits. So go ahead and pick your.
Well, I'm gonna take a light load because we kind of more want to blend in than anything else.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Are you trying this at night, or are you traveling during the day?
I'm thinking during the day. We're going to blend in with as much traffic as we can.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this is once you've taken your item load out, next we have to do an engagement roll. So this basically is going to determine how the score starts and kind of where the position you're at. Kind of, we're going to jump right into the action. So I'm going to say this is an average. So it's standard preparations. So I mean, the blue coats are patrolling, and they're fine, but they're not on the lookout for you, but they're also not on the lookout for smuggling activity. However, because you have the disguise, I'm going to give you an extra die. So if one of you wants to roll 3d6, and we'll see what your engagement is.
I got it here, Garrett.
Okay.
2 5s and a 2.
All right. So 4 or 5 is a mixed outcome. All right. So I think as you're heading through Crow's Foot, you arrive at the docks and you pick up the package from the cutter, and everything goes smoothly. The handoff is fine. You load up on the cart and you start making your way through Crow's Foot, through to Charter Hall, to Brightstone. As you're passing through Crow's Foot, you come around a corner and kind of start heading down the avenue towards Charter Hall, and you see a group of people on the side of the street, and they're kind of eyeing you as you're passing by, and you can see it looks like one of them whispers to what looks like kind of like a leader, and they start to move. And since you guys are, you guys know what to look for, so you can tell that they're sizing up your cart, your carriage.
Sounds like we're about to get mugged.
Yeah. So it looks like you're about to encounter a group of people, and they look like crows. So you can see they have like little crow pins, and they are, that Crow's Foot is their territory. And usually, passing through, you're fine, but it's almost like looking at them, watching them, it's almost like your disguise is too good, and they are looking at a transport carriage that's like, that looks like something we'd like to take a look at, and they start moving to cut off basically the road, and like one of them like picks up like a fruit cart and starts to move it into the middle of the road, and the others start to kind of fan out on the sides, and you actually see a pair of blue coats coming down the avenue. They stop, turn around, and walk the other direction. What do you do?
I'm going to stand up on the bench of our cart. Gentlemen, I do not think blocking that road is what you want to do. And as I stand up, I'm going to draw forth my very fine rapier.
Oh.
Actually, it's going to be a not a rapier, but more of a not a fencing sword, but more of a fighting sword.
Something like a saber, or
I'm thinking something like a light longsword,
okay.
like slightly thinner blade, but so yeah. I don't know what to.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just not like a heavy, clumsy blade, but
Right.
something more for fighting. Or yeah.
Okay, so you draw that out, and you see them instantly kind of like tense up and start to pull weapons as well. And one of them says, "Oh, lad, you shouldn't have done that. Like, you could have just handed over your cargo and everything would have been fine. But no, you had to draw a blade."
How close is this guy to me?
He is maybe about 10 feet from you.
Ah.
So they are like walking towards you.
Yeah, I know.
So what do you want to do? I mean, it doesn't look like they're deterred. And in fact, you can see that a couple of them, like, there is a little hunger in their eyes. Now, I mean, you can, if you want to, you can make a roll. If you want to try and command them to back off. I think that's kind of what you were going for. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was going for. So we'll go ahead and make that roll.
Okay.
As if I had done it.
Yeah. So this is where you can.
Risky position.
Yeah, this definitely gonna be
Standard
risky.
effect?
I think it's actually going to be a limited effect because you're heavily outnumbered. So it's basically like you're trying to intimidate them, but there's more of them than there are of you. So Hicks could try to. Basically, Hicks could spend a stress to assist you, which would give you an additional die.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could try to set up, which would be make his own roll, which would give you either it would boost your effect to standard or improve your position. So if there's something Hicks wants to do, try and like basically a separate action that he would do to give you a boost in your effect. So basically, I'm thinking do something that will make you seem more intimidating. It's up to you guys though.
I don't have anything. Do I? What? Okay, I just have a question. What is the fine lightning hook?
A fine lightning hook.
Yeah, it's under the items. I didn't pick it, but I didn't know what it was.
Well, you don't have to pick any items until you want to use them.
I mean, I don't know what. Yeah.
The very last page of the PDF shows what your special items are.
Oh, is it on the bottom?
Yeah, so it's a long two-handed pole with a loop of heavy wire at the end, connected to an electroplasmic capacitor, suitable for grappling a spirit and dragging it into a spirit bottle. So it's basically like a Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
Like an animal catcher.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm a little. I'm gonna just assume that my buddy over here knows what he's doing.
Okay.
But I'm assuming I have a bag of just my random stuff, and I keep a pistol in there.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna slowly move my hand in there and grab a hold of the pistol, like nonchalantly, and just wait to see what happens.
Okay, so you're not really assisting. You're more of waiting to see what goes down.
Yeah, he's getting us into this mess. He better get us out.
Okay, that's cool.
And I am stressing myself to gain an extra die. So that's 2 stress for me.
2 stress for you, yep.
And let's roll it.
See what happens.
Ah!
Look at that. Look at that.
How do you do that?
On the character sheet, next to
click the die and then it pops up something.
Yep, click the die and then it'll pop up with the stuff you need to put in that Steve tells you. Okay. So I'm just gonna basically just look at them in the eye and just like show them that I don't care how many that there are.
Mm-hmm. So they stop first, like they hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that a couple of them are kind of like lowering their weapons and kind of like looking at their boss, sort of like, should we let them pass? And the boss has to stop and turn, and it's like, no, come on, let's go. And there's a moment where they're not really paying attention to you. They're kind of like they're sort of standing there looking around, not really sure how to proceed. What do you want to do?
I'm just gonna look down at Hicks and just say, "Whip the horses up. Let's go."
When I just do
I'm
that,
just
grab
gonna
that.
motion, let's go.
I just start. Yep. I'll just listen. Yep.
All right. So this is gonna be.
I'm sure we don't have any skills that'll work for it either. Oh, handle a vehicle or mount is finesse. So
Yeah. Okay. So it's gonna be finesse.
Oh.
So you don't have anything in finesse, do you, Garrett?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
no, but unfortunately, I'm intimidating these people. So.
Yeah. So what you can do is so right now you're going to have to roll 2d6 and take the lower. However, if you spend 2 stress to push yourself, you give yourself 1 die, in which case you only roll 1 and you get to keep that. So it's the choice between, do you roll 2 and take the lower, or do you roll 1 and hope for a high number?
But I have to take, 2 stress, you said?
Yep, to push yourself.
Okay, I think that's probably what I'll do. I'll do the 2 stress to try and do that.
Okay.
So just do a normal roll then?
So you should be able to click on that button.
Okay, click on that and then...
Yep. And then it'll say, this is going to be risky and standard effect.
Standard. Okay.
And then where it says bonus or like additional
Extra.
or something like that, just put 1.
1. That didn't work. Oh, it's not on. That's why. 1. There we go. And then just submit.
Yep.
5!
Hey, look at that. All right.
Doing that while I have the hand in the pouch too. Like, what?
Yeah. So
That's my problem. My guy's not too smart.
So you whip the horses and they leap forward, dragging the cart behind. So on a 4 to 5 on risky, you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position. So I think what happens is you whip the horses forward, and the cart starts to charge, and that like shocks the crows out of their hesitation, and several of them draw pistols and rifles and just start to pepper the side of the cart. So I'm going to give you a choice. Either, and this is unfortunately this is going to affect Canter, I think, more because he was standing up. You can either fall off the cart, like you kind of like lose your balance and stumble off the cart as it lurches forward, or you can take a shot, like you can get hit by one of the shots, and that's going to give you a level 2 harm. This game doesn't mess around.
Wow.
No, it doesn't. I'm thinking it's better to stay with the cart than it is to get out of here,
Okay.
or than it is to get left behind.
Mm-hmm. So this would be a level 2 harm, which is going to give you -1 die for basically all of your actions. However, if you would like to, you can attempt to resist with prowess. And what that is you reduce the amount of harm you take, and you roll your prowess and subtract the result from 6, and that's how much stress you take instead. So basically you're trading stress for not being as hurt.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Okay, so let's roll your prowess.
Oh, and takes 0.
You rolled a 6. You rolled a 6 on everything you rolled.
I can't help that I'm awesome.
I was, for a second there, I was thinking that you didn't have it, and it rolled 2d6 and took the lower, and you rolled 2 6s. Like, what? All right, so you're gonna.
Well, if you look at it, I did roll 2 6s. I do have 2 prowess, but
yeah,
if you look at it, I did roll 2 6s.
Yeah, and that's yeah. And that's what I was looking at. I was like, wait, there's 2 6s there. Wait, what? So all right, so you're still gonna take a level 1 harm. So if you go to your sheet, under harm, in one of those two
Mhm.
boxes, just type in grazed. So that just gives you reduced effect when you do something. And then
And the uniform shot.
yeah, well, I think it's kind of like along your like rib cage or something like that, and so you can
Hide
cover
it?
you can cover it up, yeah. So the cart goes bounding off as you manage to jerk and sort of duck down as this one of the shots grazes off your side. Stings a little bit, but you're doing all right. And the cart clatters down the road, and you can hear the crows shouting behind. Uh, but once you cross in from Crow's Foot into Charter Hall, they don't pursue you any further. So, but
Whew.
so are you? I guess my question is, are you coming into into Charter Hall at a full gallop, or are you going to try and lose them in Crow's Foot and then enter Charter Hall at a normal pace?
I think we're gonna try and lose them in Crow's Foot.
Okay.
Well, no. Shoot, it's...
Well, I think if you want to do that, you're going to have to roll. Hicks is going to have to roll Prowl. Sounds like Hicks is driving.
Yeah. Hicks is driving.
Otherwise, when you reach Charter Hall, you're probably going to garner some attention if you cross the bridge at a full gallop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna have to lose them in Crow's Foot.
Okay. So we need to roll Prowl.
Yep.
Alright. So what is it? Risky, controlled, desperate.
So this is going to be risky and standard effect.
Standard. Okay. And do I add anything for extra for that then? Do I add the 2 or? Because I have a 2 in Prowl, or is it just 0?
If you clicked on the
Prowl, yeah. So I shouldn't have to add any extra then to it, right?
Right. Only if you want to. Oh, that's not good.
I was gonna say, can I take a stress to give him an extra one?
You can, yeah. So go ahead and roll an extra. Just type roll 1d6 slash.
Just go back.
Well, you can just hit in the chat. You can just do slash roll 1d6. So we'll keep those. We'll keep that 2 and a 3, and then we'll see
What else you roll?
what else you roll.
That's just
And
1d6, you
My
said?
stress just represents the fact that I am now stressed out watching every corner for someone to shoot at me.
There it is.
Oh my gosh! All right. So you, so you lose them in Crow's Foot, and you were able to slip the pursuit and then bring the cart back under control and cross over into Charter Hall unnoticed. Like it's not you're not causing a scene when you cross over into Charter Hall.
Anything a scene. It's not it,
Well, that's good. So you make your way through Charter Hall, and this place, there's a lot of blue coats here, a lot of blue coats, and you see a lot of government officials walking around. And again, I'll remind you, the sun is a burned out ember, so it's always dark. But there are like electric lamps that are along the street that light the way.
Okay.
And as you head through Charter Hall, you start to approach Brightstone, and you see that the bridge into Brightstone, there is a patrol of bluecoats there, and it looks like they are checking carts and wagons and other vehicles as they pass from Charter Hall into Brightstone. What do you do?
We just want to nonchalantly make our way to 6 Towers and then try and go into Brightstone from there?
Or can I use documents to represent the fact that we've got some sort of official looking paperwork for the delivery? So our papers are in order, basically?
Yeah. So I think I mean, it looks like, yeah, I mean, it looks like they're looking for something as they're kind of searching. So I think using the documents, I think, would give you an extra die for like trying to make us like a sway or something like that to sort of be like, oh yeah, everything's in order, we're good to go here. These aren't the droids you're looking for,
basically,
kind of thing. So it would give you a little boost.
Hicks, do you have anything in sway? Because I would say I'm injured, so I probably wouldn't be the best person to do all the talking to them.
Gritting your teeth a little bit.
Well, I don't either.
I have just a tune, so in the resolve section.
Yeah, I don't have anything in sway either. I can fast talk our way out of it, so if they see my injury, I can probably fast talk my way out of that, but... So, why don't you do the talking on getting us through the checkpoint? Because you're about as good as talking as I am.
All right, so what's our document say, and what are we pretending to carry?
It's a... Can we do a little bit of rewind? Flashback.
Yep.
And we're going to... we're going to have to spend some coin and get some ale for the back of our carriage.
Okay.
So we have ale in the back of our carriage that the package we're delivering is going to just be a part of. Mm-hmm. So our documentation says we have a bunch of ale.
Okay.
For a particular nobleman.
Or do we want something stinky? Or stinky ale?
Why would we be bringing something stinky into Brightstone?
I don't know. That's...
So that's what I was thinking. Like some nobleman's having a party, and we're bringing a bunch of ale into Brightstone for the party.
Oh, they heard about the beer court thing. Got it. Okay.
Yep. So.
All right. So yeah. So if I'm not gonna, that seems pretty standard. So you don't have to spend any stress to flashback on that. And so you just spend the 1 coin, and you've got a cart full of beer. It's sloshed around a little bit. Fortunately, the like a couple of the barrels maybe have a little scoring on them from the bullets, but none of them got punctured. So you're not leaking any ale or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you've got the documents, and you've got your cover story, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can do this one of two ways. So you can roll a sway to try and like smooth talk it and convince them that everything's exactly the way it looks, or you can just trust fate and we'll roll 1d6 and basically that'll
whatever
be,
happens.
Yeah, that'll be, you guys aren't really like saying anything, you're just pulling up and just handing them the documents and like, here you go. And so that'll just that'll be like, do they look at it close enough that they discover something? So it's up to you. So if you do the sway route, you can do 2 stress to give yourself an extra die, and you would be rolling 2 dice. Because you've got the one for the document and your the beer and the document, and then you'd have your one for pushing yourself. Or you can just go with 1d6. Up to you.
Which do you think we should? I can take the stress. That's not...
Let's take the stress and talk our way through, because more dice are always better.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be risky and standard effect.
Standard, and then we'll put the 2 extra in there, you said?
Actually, I think this is going to be a controlled standard, because they're not...
We took the time to prepare beforehand.
Because you took the time to prepare. You do actually have like the proper documentation. Okay. It's only if they start to like question the documentation does it start to get risky.
And then so I add what, the 2
So
it'd
be 2 extra, yeah.
2 extra. All right, okay. And then just roll. Oh! Oh, and I took 2 stress for that.
All right. So, how does this look? How do you go up and... So basically you pull up there, and one of the blue coats holds out hand and is like, all right, let's stop there. We need to inspect your carriage for, we're looking for something.
Well, maybe you found something. No, just joking. Don't. No, here's the papers. Let me pull that out. Where's my papers at? Then he'll, I guess, my pouch. I'm digging through my pouch, and out tumbles my gun. No, that's not it. No, here they are. Hand him the papers.
But yeah, I'm just kind of thinking like you hand him the papers, and he's looking over them, and he's like, oh, okay, ale. All right, that makes sense.
Yes, ale.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, we're just gonna have to check and make sure that that you're actually carrying ale in all of the barrels. So we're gonna have to get up there and kind of knock on them and just double check. So two of them kind of go and they leap up on the sides and move to start. So you're moving into a risky position now. What do you want to do? Like, they haven't discovered your ruse yet, but
look, gentlemen, there's nothing. It's just ale. We could perhaps just leave you one. It's some of the finest from what's Esme's place called again?
We don't know the formal
beer court.
Have you ever, I'm just gonna chat him up. It's like, have you ever heard our tradition over in Night Market, the beer court? And
what tradition's that?
We have it's a weekly competition. Local brewers, home brewers even bring their ale, and every week the crowd votes on the best ale. This, in all of these barrels, is the last 2 months worth of champions that we are bringing in for this party. They are quite delicious. I will gladly, my friend here will gladly give you a sample if you wish. For later. I know you can't drink on the job, but for your canteens for later.
All right. Roll a d6 for me.
Who's rolling it? Him, me? What?
Either one of you. Just 1d6.
I'm gonna trust your rolling. See, look, I'm not gonna roll a single dice ever again.
Yeah. So he looks at you, and he looks at the beer, and he looks at you, and he's like, so you're taking this to a lord's party?
Right, and he wants us to be on time, and you're kind of holding us up just a little bit. So if we could just...
He looks down at the papers, and he says, well, it looks like you have 7 barrels for the Lord. And he kind of like smudges out the 8 that's written on there and writes in a 7 and hands it back to you and kind of snaps to his two of his compatriots, and they lift off one of the full barrels. And he steps aside and says, have a good day, gentlemen.
Thank you, and to you, sir, as well.
All right, so you pass. You pass through, and once you're in Brightstone, you don't have any problems whatsoever. So you make your way to the estate, and you pull in the back, and there's somebody waiting for you. And they unload the package, and the gentleman that you took the job from comes out, and you can see it's kind of like a 3-foot by 2-foot box, and a couple servants have lifted it and are carrying it inside, and he comes out, hands behind his back, and looks at the two of you and says, gentlemen, I appreciate your business. It has been a pleasure doing business with you, and I will keep you in mind for the next time I have something to transport through the city. And he says, my footman will compensate you.
Would you like some of this ale? Consider it a tip. Investment in future opportunities.
He looks at it and looks at you and says, very well, I will have my men unload it.
My papers say I delivered 7 ale to a lord, so...
His men unload it. and you are able to return back to your lair without issue. All right, so you successfully completed the score. So now, what would follow from here is the payoff, and then you have to roll for entanglements for if you ran into any trouble based off of the various things that happened, and then we go into downtime. But I actually have to get going, so
Okay.
we'll start there next time and pick up from there.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of sixes. A lot of sixes. So
I balanced it out.
oh, you come on.
Well, I'm gonna say it means the next time we play, I'm gonna be rolling all ones.
That's right. Got to come around.
What
sometime.
can I roll on my sleigh? I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, it was bad. But cool. Well, thanks for playing, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yes,
That was good. Yeah.
It felt like we were going through a heist movie. Honestly, Steve,
Yeah.
That was great. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about this too is I did no prep for this session. All of that was just based off of, I came up with a simple idea at the start, and then everything else was based off of what you guys rolled. So it was really cool.
It makes it easy, simple. You can do it almost on the spot. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well,
all right.
Have a great night.